Hi boys and girls, I'm Mrs. Davis and today we are going to make...
Yes, that's Mrs. Davis.
Today we're going to make apple pie. There's a few things that we have to do before we start cooking in my kitchen and really in anybody's kitchen. We have to put on an apron to protect our clothes. We don't want to get ingredients on our clothes. If you have long hair, you want to pull it up so that we don't have any hair in the apple pie. You guys are going to get to try it, so I want you to make sure there's no hair in there. And then we have to wash our hands. So we use warm water, lots of soap, and wash it really good because we want to make sure we don't have any germs and that other people are going to eat. The handy thing about an apron is if you have an apron, you can just go like this. You don't need a towel. So when Mr. Davis and your other teachers went to the apple farm, they picked apples for you guys, and I think they picked Jonathan no, what were they called? Golden Delicious apples and Fiji apples. Fiji apples.
Fuji apples.
But there are a lot of different kinds of apples, and today in our pie I'm going to use Gala apples, which are my favorite, and Macintosh apples. You can see that they look a little different. The Macintosh apples have more green and they're like a smooth dark red, and the Gala have a pretty stripe to it. When we cut them open, you'll see some differences. Some apples don't turn brown too much when you cut them. That's from the sugar that when it hits the air it turns brown. Some apples are more sour, some are crispier, some are softer, some are sweeter. So if you have a variety of apples in your pie, it makes it a lot better. So I have this really great tool called an apple peeler corer slicer. And what we do is we take the apple and we stick it on the end where the end that grew far from the tree. We stick it on there like that. And then when I crank this thing, this blade is gonna cut the skin off, and this blade is going to cut the middle out where the seeds are. So we just go like this. It makes life way easier because I want to make a lot of apple pie, and you need 11. Gotta make sure that little stem goes in the hole. We need 11 measuring cups of apples for one pie. So I'll show you that if you know what a measuring cup is. In a second, Mr. Davis showed them this measuring cup. This measuring cup right here, this glass one, holds 8 cups. That means 8 measuring cups of apples. So we're going to fill this up a lot of times to make more than one pie. After I cranked it all the way to the end, I just pull it off, and the core part is stuck here. So this is where all the seeds are. And then we just have, this is like a accordion of apples, and we just want it to fall in there. And we're going to keep on doing it. This apple, you see how it's kind of white and it's kind of softish? That is the Gala apple. Now I'm going to do a Macintosh apple. The color is different. The shape is a little different. And when I start peeling, you'll see the color. If you're super smart about colors, you'll see that it's just a little different. It's more of a greenish tinge to the inside of the apple. See that brown spot? That's just sugar in the apple coming out to the outside, so you don't have to worry. When we pull it off, you can see this apple is a little bit crispier. See, it snaps a little bit more, and when I put it in there, you can see that it looks like a whole different color. Okay, so I'm gonna peel up a whole bunch of apples, and then Mr. Davis is gonna come back with the video, and I'll show you what else goes into an apple pie.
Apple string.
filled up the container the first time to the 8-cup mark. See how it's full of apples? So we're gonna put it in here, and we need 11 cups for every pie. So there's 8. We have to do 8 more. We have a lot of apples to peel. We should have counted how many apples we needed. Well, we can count for this one. There's 1 apple in there. Here's apple number 2. Uh-oh. We don't want any peel on our apple pie, so let me get my peeler. This peel got stuck, so we're just gonna take it off this way. See the apple juice dripping out? That's 3 apples in there, right?
How many apples now?
Well, we had 3.
3 and one more. What is that? 3 and 1 more. What comes after 3?
1,
2,
3.
4. 4.
Here's 4 plus 1 more.
4 and 1 more makes 5. Who remembers why the apples turn brown in the bowl? What is the brown stuff?
I'll give you a hint, it's not nasty. You probably think brown apples are nasty, but it's the opposite of nasty.
And it starts with the sh sound. If you said sugar, you are correct.
Is that what you're talking about?
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Davis, I just thought of a joke.
What is that?
What's worse than finding a worm in your apple?
What's worse than finding a worm in my apple? What?
Finding half a worm in your apple. There's 2 apples in the bowl now, by the way.
Oh, I know what's worse than finding a worm in your apple.
What, Mr. Davis?
Finding a worm in your tomato.
Oh, that's very disappointing. Mr. Davis is telling you about my tomato problem that I had this summer. I was growing tomatoes on a tomato plant, and they were beautiful, and they were almost ready. And the day I went outside to pick them, I looked underneath, and they all had big holes, and they had big green worms in them. So I had to throw the whole plant away.
Yep, throw the whole thing away.
Very disturbing. You know how those worms got there, don't you?
How?
A moth that looks like a butterfly, but it's not a butterfly, it's just a moth. And they come along and they lay eggs in the tomatoes, and then the eggs hatch and they're worms, and they eat the tomatoes and ruin them, and you have to throw the whole thing away.
What do moths like to play with?
What do moths like to play with? What do moths like to play with? I don't know. What do they like to play with?
Mothballs.
Oh, mothballs. Bet you don't even know what's besides apple pie, though.
Say what?
There's a lot of other things you can make besides apple pie.
Like what?
Apple sauce,
Mm-hmm.
apple crisp,
Mm-hmm.
apple turnovers.
Do they make apple fritters with apples?
They make apple
From
fritters.
Dunkin' Donuts?
At Dunkin' Donuts, they have apple fritters, and that's my favorite thing. And a long time ago, when I used to work at the school with Mr. Davis, we had a little girl named Madeline in our class. And Madeline's mommy liked to stop at Dunkin' Donuts on the way to school sometimes, so she would bring us a treat. And she used to bring Mr. Davis a glazed donut, and she used to bring me an apple fritter. But she was just a little girl, like you guys, and she said it wrong. So she used to come running in the room and say, "I brought you an apple critter."
Wait, so you mean students actually brought their teachers donuts and treats to school?
Yep. Yes, they did. And as a matter of fact, you know how old Madeline is now, Mr. Davis?
How old would Maddie be now?
Madeline was in Eden's class, I think.
So
Madeline
would
be
almost be
18,
19,
yep,
possibly.
18, 19 years old, a grown up. She probably is in college right now.
In college.
Guess what, Mr. Davis? We're old. That's how old our kids
Boys
are.
and girls, I don't look old. Look at me. I'm young. She's speaking for herself at this point in time. As a matter of fact, guess what, boys and girls? My wife, Mrs. Davis, that's Mrs. Davis. Tomorrow is her birthday. Yes, it's her birthday. And she's making pie for you today. Isn't that cool? How cool is that?
So it says we need 1 1/4 cups of sugar. So first we have to get the sugar. Now we need flour.
How much?
1 cup.
1 cup of flour.
Now we need 2 teaspoons of cinnamon.
One, 2.
Always put the shaker top back. We need 1 teaspoon of nutmeg.
1.
Now we need salt. Salt seems like a funny thing to put in a pie, but salt is a magic ingredient because it makes other spices taste better. It's like a helper. To do is stir these apples up, which is going to be a trick, Mr. Davis. Why do you think it's a trick?
I'm not sure.
Because this bowl
So
is
many
really
apples?
full, and we don't want to make a mess because we're not at school. At school, we make a big mess usually, but we're in my kitchen. My kitchen, my rules. So I can't make a
Oh,
mess.
so that's why you have this plastic, ranch or plastic wrap on the tape on the counter?
Yes, I don't like to clean messes.
Hmm.
So if we have it wrapped up, all I have to do is come along and roll all this trash up into the plastic and throw it right into the trash can.
And voila.
And voila,
It's clean.
it's cleaned up. Then I just have to come along and wipe down the countertops.
Oh, that is so smart. That's a smart way of cleaning.
Welcome to kindergarten, making apple pies.
This is Micah, everybody. It's my youngest son.
He's my favorite.
He's an 11th grader now.
He used to be in kindergarten.
Yes, he was the funniest kid in kindergarten.
And you know what Micah's favorite thing about kindergarten was? Do you remember, Mr. Davis?
No. There were so many funny things to Micah.
What was your favorite thing about kindergarten? The very first thing we did.
First thing we did.
The green eggs and ham?
Oh, Micah liked green eggs and ham. Micah loved the
The
gingerbread,
gingerbread
man.
man. Oh yeah, he was the
As a
gingerbread
matter of
man.
fact, let me show you what Micah and I are going to make. We're going to make ninja bread.
Wow, that's cool.
Okay, I'm back. And what we're going to do today is we're going to use cheater pie crust. You let it get to be room temperature, and then you carefully unroll it like this. So we're going to fill up this pie crust with the apples that are all mixed up. If you were here, you could smell how delicious they smell today.
I won't.
It smells like
I can smell
cinnamon.
from here.
It tastes really good. There's nothing in there that is bad for you to eat it without cooking it. So if you get to make an apple pie at home, you can try it. So the thing about apple pies is you have to make them piled up, because when the apples cook, they smush down, and so you don't want it to be flat. You want a nice tall pie. The other pie crust is in the box. And again, unwrap it. That beeping sound means the oven is hot. You have to heat the oven up to 425 degrees. That's really hot. Okay, so there we have another circle. So guess what? We're gonna lay it on top, and then we're gonna tuck the edges in, and I'm gonna show you something, a magic trick. Tuck it in all around, like almost like you're tucking the apples into bed. So they're gonna take a little nap in the oven. Think they're gonna run around the house like a gingerbread man? Okay, so after your apples are all tucked in, you take your thumbs and you pinch it around the edge, and this is called a funny word. It's called fluting. I don't know why, but that's the name of it. When you flute a pie crust, this is what you do. Make it look pretty on the edges. You just kind of pinch it all the way around. Uh-oh. And apple pies are usually not perfect, but you can make it look as pretty as you can. And we get back to the beginning and see it looks like a ruffle. Now, we're gonna put a D on the top of this pie for Davis.
Because people like to steal pies. Just kidding.
D
Don't try this at home, boys and girls.
for Davis. The real reason that we cut a hole in the top of the pie is because there's going to be a lot of steam in there, and the juice is going to come out. And if you don't cut a hole so that it can come out, it just makes a mess all over the oven. So there's the first pie.
Okay.
Okay, so you remember I told you I turned the oven on to 425 degrees. 425 degrees is a lot. The hottest day of the whole summer is probably about 100 degrees outside, so 425 degrees. You might notice that I put the pie on top of this old cookie sheet, and it's all crusty and yucky looking, and that's because when the apple juice comes out, it might come out onto the tray. We don't want it to go on the bottom of the oven because then it stinks. But I'm gonna put it in the oven, and let me read the recipe. It has to stay in the oven for 50 to 60 minutes, and then the whole house is gonna smell so delicious like apple pie, and Mr. Davis is gonna bring you some on Tuesday. See, apples, that's the time.
So we'll be back when it's done.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, 1 hour is up. It's time to take the pies out of the oven. Be super careful because without pies are really hot. Here's one. Here's one with the D on it for Davis. Doesn't that look nice?
Smells yummy.
And here comes the one with the Halloween face. Look, it looks like it's sticking its tongue out at you. See how the applesauce is coming out the sides?
Yummy.
Okay.